Jarmo, what does Hartnell add for you? You have said you want to get faster both with your feet and with your brains. Does this accomplish this, or is this more about remedying the situation with Umberger and getting a really good player in return?
Well, I think he thinks the game fast. He knows where to go. I think that when you get to play with the players that he's played with on his previous teams, it's a testament to his hockey sense and the way he thinks the game and anticipates the game. I've always said that's a more important part of the quickness, producing quickness to your game, is the thinking part of the game. So he will fit that. This was something that we worked on, obviously. Like I said, the request was out there, so it was something that we needed to get done. And then we'll be able to do the next step from here on, now that we have this resolved. I think he plays exactly the way we want the Blue Jackets to play. He's a hard to play against. You know, when you talk about him as an opponent, and he's talked to a lot of different sources around the league, people that I know and people that he's been associated with and haven't played against, they all say the same thing, that you hate to play against him and would love to have him on your team. That's the way we feel about him. He was a tough opponent, somebody you always notice, and somebody you hated from the press box, but you always thought that it'd be nice to have him on your team. So that's how we feel about Scott. He goes to the net, he goes to the hard areas, he produces, he can play with the good players, pass the puck, make plays, and he brings character, leadership. He's been to the battle, he's been far in the playoffs, he knows what it takes to win. I had a long conversation with him about this trade, and I guess he had a lot of questions, but I guess the only real hard question that he asked me, he just wanted to know that we're committed to winning. That's his only concern. Wherever he was going to go, he said, I want to win. I'm 32 years old, I made a lot of money, I want to win. And that's basically the question that I wanted to hear too, the answer that I wanted to get from him, that's what he's committed to, and that's what he wants to do. So.
When you went into this, was there a certain kind of player you're looking for, whether someone who fit the system, maybe a veteran, younger pieces, or was it kind of all over the board as you looked for this?
Well, we exhausted every option, obviously. We tried to look at whatever would be out there and make our team better. We feel that this was the best option for us, and this was the best available option, and we're really excited about this. So that's, yeah, you always look at every option, and whether it's young or old, or what it would do for your depth, or what it does for your salary structure, budget, cap hits, all those things. And Josh and Chris McFarland, Bill Zito, they're all helping me out with different aspects of this trade. So it's from all angles, but this was the trade that we felt is going to help us.
When did you have that conversation with Hartnell?
Well, I talked to him this morning, and I had a conversation with him today. I talked to him yesterday too. We had a permission from the Flyers to talk to him. He had a full no move on his contract, so without his permission, this wasn't going to happen. But at the end of it, he was very excited about it. This morning when I talked to him, he said he was very excited. So, but I'll let him speak to that.
Did you have to persuade him to move the no-move clause? How much did he agonize over that? Because this doesn't happen if he doesn't do that.
Well, I think it was more answering his questions. He had those questions, and he really wanted me to talk about the team and where we're heading and how I felt about the future. And the question was, do we think, and do I think that we're going to be able to win? Can we win? Are we going to be better in the future? Why? What are those elements of our team? And like I said, that was the hard question that he wanted to ask me. Are you committed to winning? And because that's all he wanted to do in the future, is to be sure that he can go to a team that has a chance to win the Stanley Cup.
Jarmo, sometimes when a trade request gets out there in the open, it doesn't end as amicably and as well for both parties as this deal did. What was the key to making that the case in this situation?
Well, I think that Philly obviously had they were familiar with with R.J. Umberger. They'd had him before, and they had interest in him. And you know, R.J.'s been a good player in this league for many years, so they knew him because they'd had him. So there was a match, and you know, but I can't speak to on their behalf, obviously. But you know, those players the same age, you know, very similar cap hits. We take a little bit more term with this deal, but you know, we feel that this was an option that was exciting for us. And
You touched on it briefly, but what does Hartnell bring to the locker room? What kind of change? Maybe a different characteristic than you've had before?
well, I think he has respect from the room right away because of his career, what he's done in the league. I think that first you always have to go on the ice and show what you can do, and then you can have a voice. He's been around the league for a long time, so everybody knows what he brings on the ice. He's going to have to do it here again, obviously, but you know, he's not a guy that anybody has in the locker room has to wonder what he's done or what kind of career he's had. Everybody's aware of that, and I think he can have a voice in the locker room right away, and he has that experience. Like I said, he's been to the Stanley Cup Finals, and he's a guy that knows what it takes to win. So you know, that's the same thing he's going to have to bring on the ice for the Blue Jackets, and then he'll have even more of a voice in the locker room.
How much of a relief is this for you to have this out of the way now, and how much does it change what you do going into free agency? I know the cap hits are about the same, but just having this resolved, are you more aggressive now than you would have been if this had lingered?
I don't know if we're going to be more aggressive. I think we have our plans set, but now this allows us to take the next step. We're in our thinking. We know where we're at now. As before, we had a player who didn't want to play here anymore and requested a trade, and until it was completed, we still had his salary on the sidelines, and we couldn't take the next step. Now I think that our plans are set as far as you know, one of our needs that we needed to fill, whether it was through free agency or trade or anything, was a player on the left side that can play in the top six, in our top two lines, and Scott Hartnell fills that need for us. So you know, with this trade, we had filled that need and taken the next step from the unknown to, okay, now we have this on our salary structure, on our cap, and now we can move on to make the next decisions. Well, it's good. I mean, I'm happy. I think we got a good player, and a player that I think will make us better. So that makes me very happy. Yes.
As a GM, your first and foremost job is to put a winning team on the ice. So is the fact that this is a guy who's active in the community and good with fans a bonus, or do you view that as being essential to being a member of the CBJ?
It's a bonus, obviously, but my job's to make sure that we perform on the ice and we do the right things on the ice. But if and when you do that, I'm all for all the good things in the community and players being good soldiers off the ice and good citizens off the ice. It's great. It's all a bonus. But I just want the focus to be on the ice first, and then with all the other great things that you can do in the community.
You talked about getting input on what kind of guy Hartnell is. Out of curiosity, is Jody Shelley one of the guys that you talk to about that?
You ever reveal your sources? No, I didn't think so. So I'm not going to reveal mine either.
Any other questions?
It's all right. It's a good question, but I'm not going to tell you.
Was this something that started coming together last week, middle of last week? Were there a lot of other teams that you were chatting with, and this just sort of popped up, or has this been at work for a few weeks now with the Flyers?
It hasn't been that long. I think last week we talked about this, and then it got heated up a little bit, and you know, I had kind of had the feelers out there for a while, and then there was a few maybes and some interest and you know, just preliminary discussions about maybe this or what about this or that, and I don't want to get into any of that, but I think it was last week when we finally started talking about actual terms of this type of trade, and if it would, be something that both sides would be interested in, and then there was obviously the no move hurdle that we had to get past.
One thing that Scott is known for is his play against Pittsburgh. Does that play any factor into a GM's decision, how well they play against an opponent, or do you look at things that specific?
Well, I mean, I don't mind him being a player that can play well against Pittsburgh. It's one of our division rivals, and teams that we're going to see often. So that's obviously a good bonus as well. But there's 82 games next year, and consistency is something that we're looking for. And he's had several productive seasons in his career. He's been fairly consistent and a durable player. So those are the things that we looked at mostly. The analytics, according to Josh, are good, and a lot of positives that we've looked at that fits our team. Not only to fill the need on the left side and in our top six, but the intangibles, the analytics and salary, all those things I think fit well with us.
Jarmo, a non-Hartnell question. Can you update us on free agents, guys that you're working with, Ryan Johansson, Derek McKenzie, those types of things? Do you want to have those guys taken care of before draft time, or are you going to wait till the end of the month?
Well, we've been working on them. We send out the qualifying offers today on the players that were due to receive them, and we're working on them as we speak. Billy Zito didn't make it down here; he's probably on the phone upstairs. So it's all work in progress, and like I've said before, I'm confident we'll get them done at the right time, and I don't anticipate any problems. So next step is the free agency unrestricted. Obviously, we have a couple of those guys too. We signed Curtis McElhaney today, and that's I've said this before, that I think it's one of the hardest jobs in the league to be behind a goalie that is capable of playing 65, 70 games even sometimes. If now it'll be a lighter schedule for Bobrovsky too, so I mean, he's as durable as they come. He feels like he can play 82 probably. We hold him back and say, okay, well, you'll have to take some rest somewhere here to be able to perform at your top level and to be able to be ready for those 15 to 20 games that you're asked to play. It's a tough job, and Curtis McElhaney's a great pro. He's a great partner for Bob, and on the ice, competing with him and pushing him and helping him out, and to be able to be ready like he is, he's really earned our respect.